Hi everyone, and welcome to Dentist's Coffee Time. Today we're going on a really fascinating journey to trace the very roots of beauty. We're going to travel all the way back to ancient Greece to uncover a kind of mathematical secret to aesthetics. We'll see how this knowledge was lost and then spectacularly rediscovered during the Renaissance, and finally, we'll explore how these timeless rules are absolutely fundamental to the beautiful smiles we appreciate and create today. Okay, let's dive right in.
So, let's just start with the big one, right? What makes something beautiful? I mean, this is a question that philosophers, artists, scientists, they've all been wrestling with it for literally millennia. Is it just, in the eye of the beholder? Is it totally a matter of personal taste? Or could there be something more? Some kind of universal principle at play?
Well, for centuries, the answer wasn't an opinion. It was, get this, a formula. Now, I know that might sound a little strange to us today, right? We think of beauty as this really personal, subjective thing. But for some of the absolute greatest minds in Western history, it wasn't subjective at all. Nope, it was objective. It was something you could measure, you could calculate, and you could even replicate. It was, for all intents and purposes, a code.
So to really understand this code, to find its origins, we have to travel back in time. We're heading to the place where so many of the foundational ideas of our world began, ancient Greece.
So our journey starts in Greece, somewhere between the 7th and 5th centuries BCE. And you have to understand, this was just an incredible period of intellectual awakening. Thinkers like Pythagoras and Euclid, the names from our old math textbooks, they weren't just exploring geometry and numbers for, say, building things. Not at all. They believed that through mathematics, they could actually understand the underlying order of the entire cosmos. And a huge part of that cosmic order was this principle of harmony, or, you guessed it, what we call beauty.
And this leads us to the core concept they discovered, the golden ratio, also known as phi. Now, what is it? It's a pretty unique mathematical relationship that, and this is the crazy part, just shows up everywhere in nature. We're talking the spiral of a seashell, the petals of a flower, even the branching of trees. For the ancient Greeks, this was absolutely not a coincidence. To them, it was proof of a universal law of beauty, a kind of divine proportion that governed all perfect forms.
And there it is, 1.61803, and on it goes. This is the number, phi. It's an irrational number, which means it just goes on forever without repeating. But to the Greeks, it was so much more than just a constant. It was the secret formula for creating harmony. You could almost say it was the mathematical expression of beauty itself.
And if you want to see this philosophy in action, look no further than the Parthenon. Wow. This building is the perfect example. It was dedicated to the goddess Athena, and the goal wasn't just to build something big, it was to build something perfect. Its designers literally incorporated the golden ratio into its dimensions, so the whole front of it fits almost perfectly inside what's called a golden rectangle. And they even used these incredibly subtle visual tricks. For example, the columns actually bulge out a tiny bit in the middle. It's a technique called entasis. Why? Because it counteracts an optical illusion that makes perfectly straight lines look like they're curving from far away. It is just a total masterclass in applied aesthetic mathematics.
But you know how stories go. This incredible, profound understanding of aesthetics, well, it wasn't going to last. As the classical world began to crumble, this mathematical code for beauty was almost lost to history entirely.
So, after the fall of the Roman Empire, Europe enters this long period we call the Middle Ages. You might have heard it called the Dark Ages, and yeah, historians debate that term a lot now. But one thing is for sure, the whole approach to art and beauty changed. Dramatically. The focus completely shifted away from the Greek idea of realism and perfect forms and moved way more towards spiritual symbolism.
And you can really see that shift in the art from the Gothic period. It was almost all religious, and it's characterized by these dark, flat backgrounds. The figures look really formal and stiff, right? The goal wasn't to make things look real, like a photograph. The goal was to convey a sense of divine order, a spiritual hierarchy. Realism just wasn't the point. The message was everything.
But then, starting in Italy around the 13th century, something absolutely incredible starts to happen. Scholars, artists, they begin rediscovering all these lost texts in art from ancient Greece and Rome. And this rebirth, or as we call it, the Renaissance, it just sparks a complete revolution in culture, science, and of course, art. The focus snaps right back to humanism, to realism, and to those classical ideals of beauty.
And this new era, was led by absolute titans. We're talking about Leonardo da Vinci, Michelangelo. These guys were not just artists. Oh no, they were scientists, engineers, anatomists. I mean, Leonardo was dissecting bodies to understand muscles and bones. They were studying geometry with a passion and a precision that hadn't been seen for 1,000 years. And it was all in this grand quest to perfectly capture and create beauty.
Okay, so here's the really crucial part. The Renaissance masters, they didn't just copy the ancients. They studied them. They analyzed them. You could even say they reverse engineered their principles. They weren't just imitating. They were cracking the aesthetic code and defining a clear set of rules for how to create beauty.
And from all that study of classical sculpture and architecture, they boiled it all down to 3 fundamental principles. And these 3 rules, they became the absolute bedrock of artistic training for centuries to come. And as we're about to see, they are just as relevant today.
All right, rule number 1, symmetry. Pretty straightforward, right? It's the idea that 2 halves of a whole are basically mirror images of each other. And it turns out, our brains are just hardwired to find symmetry pleasing. It gives us a sense of order, of stability, that things are right. Just think about the symmetry of a human face. It's one of the most foundational elements of what we perceive as attractive.
Okay, rule number 2, proportion. This is all about how the sizes of different parts relate to one another and to the whole object. And guess what makes a comeback here? Yep, the golden ratio. The Renaissance masters joyfully rediscovered it and started applying it everywhere to create those perfectly harmonious relationships between the limbs and torso of a sculpture or between all the different elements in a painting. And finally, rule number 3 is balance. Now this one's a little more subtle than symmetry. It's about distributing the visual weight of everything in a composition, objects, colors, textures, so that the whole thing just feels stable and complete. What's cool is that a design can actually be asymmetrical, not a mirror image, but still feel perfectly balanced. It creates this awesome sense of dynamic harmony.
So, you might be thinking, okay, this is a really cool history lesson, but why does this 2,500-year-old story of art and math matter to us now? Well, it's because these rules, symmetry, proportion, and balance, they were never just about art. They are the fundamental principles of all good design.
And I promise you, once you know this aesthetic code, you are going to start seeing it absolutely everywhere. It's in the clean lines of modern buildings, the sleek curves of a beautiful car, even the layout of the apps on your smartphone. It's in the logo of your favorite brand. These ancient principles are truly the invisible foundation of almost all modern design.
And this is where it all comes home for us. Because in aesthetic dentistry, these are not just some abstract philosophical ideas. No way. They are the practical, clinical tools and guidelines that we use every single day. When we're designing a smile, what are we doing? We're manipulating symmetry, proportion, and balance. We literally use the golden ratio to help determine the ideal width of the central incisors relative to the laterals. We work to make sure the smile line is symmetrical and balanced within the frame of the lips. In a very, very real sense, we are the direct inheritors of this entire classical tradition.
So when you think about it, what we do is this amazing fusion of medical science and timeless artistic principle. And every single time we help a patient achieve a smile that they truly love, we are tapping into a code of beauty that connects us directly to the builders of the Parthenon and the great masters of the Renaissance. It's a pretty incredible legacy, isn't it? But of course, a smile is so much more than just a formula, right? It's about life and warmth and individuality. So that leaves us with a final thought to consider. Beyond all the mathematics and perfect ratios, what qualities do you believe make a smile truly beautiful? Is it the character in it, maybe a unique little imperfection, or something else entirely? We'd love to hear what you think, so please share your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching. This is Dentist Coffee Time. Bye-bye.